Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to our second demo of day 2 here. I just ran down and topped up my coffee, so I hope everyone else has theirs and they're ready to go here, because I'm going to hand it over to Chris and Sean and Vishal at Element AMS to walk us through what they do.
Thank you, Jess. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are really excited to show Element AMS to you all. Chris, can you go to the next slide? As a quick overview, we're just going to talk who's here, show you our platform, and then really jump into some really big differentiators and new features that we have got to you, credentialing and group memberships. There's a lot that we're going to show you today. If you want to have a deep dive or want to know more beyond the time that we have, feel free to drop your business card or shoot us a question, and we'll be happy to respond. With that, Chris, quickly, next slide. So we have 3 team members, myself, Vishal Shah, CEO, co-founder, my co-founder with me, Chris Gogoroso, the CPO, and Sean. And that, Chris, I hand it over to you.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Vish. You guys, I'm doing the demo. I want to preface by saying wonderful spring allergies are here and upon us, and definitely are in affecting my lungs and things. So if I need to go on mute for a moment, please forgive me, but just know that that's what's going on. All right. Thank you, Vish. Let's dig in. So a little bit about Element. We are built on the Salesforce platform, which means we get to utilize all the wonderful things that Salesforce provides. Our customers get to utilize all the wonderful things that Salesforce provides, and it's a lot. I mean, they've got they've got their own app exchange, which is a bunch of different tools that you might want to use for your environment, going from project management all the way to like file management and things like that. There's tons of things out there, and we're one of the spokes in that wheel when it comes to you managing your organization and your environment. For us, this slide is really just talking a little bit about some of the things that we do. For marketing purposes, we can't fill it all on one screen, but we do our best to try to cover the things that we do handle with the different points up here across the top. But again, we're really just going to focus today on credentialing and group membership. So like Vish said, if there's anything that you want to see further, please let us know. And we're happy to hop on a call and show you what we've got. So without further ado, let's get into credentialing. Okay, so this is Diego. I'm a staff user right now. I am looking at the staff side of Element. If you've seen Salesforce before, you're familiar with this. It's the contact record. We've got our own component up here that shows a little bit of the high level information about Diego. We can tell that he's an executive member. He's pretty engaged, which is great. A high level detail about his membership. And then, some contact information that I might want to see up front and at close. Diego has no credentials at the moment. That's part of the whole demo. And if I want to really dig into all the detail around Diego, I can really scroll down here and see some of that information. Any of the emails that were sent over to him are over there in our activity panel. And Element has a number of different tabs that you would be interacting with. And again, we'll dig into that on a different day. But the story that we're showing today really starts with Diego's experience. Okay, so we're going to log into the experience or the member portal as Diego, where the story all begins. So here I am as Diego logged into the member experience. Here's that executive membership that we talked about. I'm basically in my area to manage everything that the association has about me. I can update my information. I can, wow, Diego's an old man. I can manage my membership up here. And if I want, I can enable my auto renew. I've got payment methods. I've got invoices, my event registrations, and then of course, our credentials area. Now, I'm not credentialed right now. So I want to go ahead and start a new credential application. what this is basically a workflow that helps you present whatever information you would like to present to your constituents as they're getting credentialed. And maybe Diego's a member, maybe he's not. But if he's not, I definitely want to capture some of that contact information. And of course, some address information. And again, this is all, stuff that you can configure, and these forms are really dynamic as well. So, based on what you answer, you can show different fields if that you need to, and really the experience and the journey by which we're bringing Diego to through, you get to define as well. Ultimately, we want Diego to pick which credential he wants to select. And here, what we're doing is showing some high-level information about the requirements for each level. So that way Diego can make a decision of which level is best suited for him. And after looking at it, he might say, hey, I think I got all this stuff. I might as well go up to level 3. I thought I was going to go level 2, but I think I might be able to do level 3 by the end of the allotted amount of time. And so here at the bottom, we have a product selection that allows us to pick which credential that we're selecting and pay for that application fee up front, which will then give him the experience of selecting, going ahead and submitting those requirements that are needed to be credentialed. Now, what you're seeing are different levels, and you might be asking, what does that mean? This highlights that Element has the ability to not just have a credential. So you might be, certified in nutrition, but in this scenario, we're showing there's a bunch of different certifications that you might do with the different levels within nutrition. So you might be nutrition level 1 certified, level 2. So if you have that concept of tiered credentialing, you can certainly present it that way. For us that are Salesforce certified are very familiar with that, because there's like level 1 developer, level 2 developer, and things of that nature. It's very similar to that. Okay. So Diego picks level 3, and he's going to go ahead and have that added to the cart. I've got my level 3 application added to the cart, $85, looks great. Go ahead and make a payment for it. Now here on our checkout page, integrate with Stripe. So any payment method that you connect with your Stripe is going to be presented to you. So if you're like, you want to see Apple Pay or Google Pay, Amazon Pay, Cash App, all of those things are available to you inside of our Element member portal. And ultimately, once Diego pays, you can see the information. If he wants, he can view the invoice. That'll take him back to that invoice page. We can see that he's made the full payment for $85, and that's now available to him to download that invoice whenever he sees fit. What also is happening, and it just took time, Let me just make sure that I got that credential in there. Let's go back to Diego. It's there. It took you time just to show it. Of course, it's going to do that during a demo. It shows that we've got the credential into his page. And now if he selects his credential, now this is a history, okay? This history is going to show you the entire journey of everything that happens with your credential, whether you're going through the application, once you're certified, if you go from one level to the next, I can see everything that's happened here. But once I log in and get to my credential, I can see all the requirements that I need to fulfill to meet the requirements for being credentialed. And you can see here at a high level, it's the top part of the screen is showing the high level information. I've got about 3 months to get everything completed. Otherwise, I have to reapply. As an example, it's giving me a term status saying you're actively in your term. I've got a program requirement status up here that lets me know that everything is in progress, which is great. So let's get started. Let's start fulfilling this, let's start fulfilling the requirements we need. And the first thing I need to do is upload requirements. And I'm just going to stop here for a second. This form, very similar to the onboarding form, can take any kind of forms you need. It can take file uploads. It can be a link that navigates somewhere else. It can be an attestation. There's a lot of different types of requirements. And as we did our research in developing, the requirements on how best to build this product, what we realized is like there's never just like one box that you can fit everybody in. So it's important to think about the different ways that you can do this. And so we had to make this very flexible. So as I go through this, you're going to see that we've given hopefully a nice example of a lot of different things that you might be utilizing when you're capturing requirements for your constituents. So here I'm uploading my VCU transcripts. I can say I've uploaded all my documents because, hey, I might have gone to several different schools that I need to track my transcripts with. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and finish and update that. And you can see that the work has been submitted. I've got those college, high school documents are completed. And these are statuses that are defined by you during the implementation. So as we do our discovery and figure out what you have, these work submitted is entirely something that you would configure, you would call out. Maybe work submitted makes sense to you, maybe it doesn't, and have your own language. All of this is configurable by you. So I wanted to call that out. And that whole life cycle is really stuff that you define and we accommodate. So now let's go ahead and upload my core course, my nutrition fundamentals. How am I going to do this? Is this going to be a core course points or is this going to be a college credit? If I do my core course, I have to select from a predefined list. Okay, here you go. Did that recently on April 1st, Fool's Day. And there's my nutrition training document. Next, and let's just go ahead and finish that and submit. And you'll see that that's also been submitted. So you can see as we're going through different types of requirements, the idea here is to show you different ways that you can capture these requirements. And similarly, if I have a college credit that I wanted to reference, I don't always have to upload a new file. So let's say I've got 2 credits. I've already uploaded college credits. Maybe it's already documented. So I can use my previously uploaded files to show that there as well. And so no reason to, we don't want 100 files in our environment to go through. We only need to see it once type of thing. And that's entirely up to you, whether you want to show those files repeatedly or not. Okay. Now here, I'm going to upload. And let's do this a little bit quicker. Let's do this again. 1 VCU. And the other thing I should do is show you that you can also upload multiple files, okay? And that's pretty good for us to discuss. So if I go in here and I wanted to say, how many do I need? 6? Let's do 8 just for good measure. And select several different files here. I'll put some mascots in there. Brighten up the demo a little bit for you. And you can see that we're uploading all those different files in there and whatever text that you might want to show. And then there we are. Perfect. Now you can see that progress bar going through as I finish the different groupings of text. Now, I've completed everything. Work is submitted. Notice that this button showed up, the submit application. I'm really just kind of copying what one of our customers had done. Their idea is we want them to declaratively submit that application, which I think was pretty neat. So only when they're ready can they submit it. That doesn't have to happen that way. You can programmatically make that happen. But all of these buttons that you see here, the upload, the submit application, are driven by the requirements. So as the status. So as the status change, different buttons might be available to you. Could be one button, could be several. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and submit my application. I have a last attestation that I need to do before I submit. And then once I do, finish that, return back. And what do I get? Great. We're under review. It's going to the staff. I can see that things are complete. And each one of those individual requirements are waiting for review. Perfect. I've done my part as Diego. Now it's on Element staff team to do the rest. So
here's a 15-minute reminder.
15-minute reminder. Thanks for that. Okay, so I got to speed this up a little bit. So now I can go in and look at Diego's credential. And when I navigate here, I can see, some high-level information. Obviously, he's going for level 3. Diego's a part of the ABC Inc. And I can see that this is not maintenance. This is obviously an application. And I can see that, when his end date is, if he has a grace date or reinstatement date. And I can see all of the submissions that he's done, as well as all the attachments that were provided to us. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is just make it a little bit easier to look at these individual submissions that he's did, because I'm going to be reviewing these. And so I'm going to go into this operational management as an example. And there's the one where he uploaded multiple files, right? I can go through this, take a look at it, say, yeah, no, that looks good. I'm happy with that. Go through, go back to the submissions, and one by one, I can go ahead and look at all these different files and just say very quickly whether or not I'm happy with it. And it looks like he's done everything he needed to do. And you can see that each one of those files is aligned with the submission. So it's very easy for us to look at it, review it, and say we're happy with it. Except for key area 1. What'd you do here? Oh man, he uploaded his VCU transcripts, but that's not what I needed. I needed something else. So I'm going to go back to the credential here, and I'm just going to say, hey, Diego, I actually need some info. I need some info on this key area 1, nutrition. You're missing some of the nutritious stuff here. And this is just bucketed language that helps us develop an email, and you get to define what that bucketed language is. So if I wanted to store new reasons that, of why something failed, because they're typically pretty common, you get to define that here, and I can select it, and I can select multiple reasons if I wanted to. So let's just add one just to show it. And I'm going to submit. And what that does, it literally gives us a preview of what the email is. And then I can add some additional language if I need to. Don't forget the right file. Send that email. Now, as Diego, okay, I'm getting that email and I'm looking at it and I say, oh, dang, I did the wrong thing. Let me log back in and make that fix, right? And so once that's done, when I go back to that credential and log in as Diego, what we'll see is I need needs info. I went back to a 3 out of 4, and I can quickly, easily identify that this is the area that I need that info in for. So I'm going to go ahead and upload one last thing. Done. And yes, I confirm. This is exactly what you asked for, and we are all set. And now that I've submitted everything, I can go ahead and submit that application again because I've met the criteria that it needed me to meet. And it goes back to the staff at the association, and it's waiting for review again. Now that I'm happy with it, I can go back and say, oh, great, Diego submitted everything. Let's go ahead and approve that. Oh, no.
We hit the email limit.
We hit the email limit? Oh, no. This is what happens with demo environments. Okay. So here's what's going to happen. When I submitted the approval, what happens to Diego is he actually gets Oh, that's too bad because the demo is gonna have all the status. Let's see
And
what
this
happens.
10-minute mark.
What's that? We have 10 minutes left.
Yes.
Okay. So after that approval, what happens is Diego gets a new credential. It shows the new credential in a very similar view, but the new button here, it's going to show that he's been approved and he gets to download that credential. He actually gets to see the PDF and the requirements change. The requirements now are going to be asking him for his maintenance requirements. And that would be, like his continuing education units and things like that. Probably a good thing because I'm running out of time to show the other part of the demo. But that's a high level of our credentialing functionality. If you want to see more and not me hitting email limits, please let us know because we can dive in a little bit further. Hope you've answered all the questions, Vish and Sean.
Yes.
Should I go directly into? All right, great. Cool. So now I'm going to talk about group membership. One of the big problems about group membership, and I've got to do this quick, is that group membership isn't easy, right? So getting our administrators to submit their new rosters, let us know what memberships they have. This is a very time-consuming process. This happens because it's time-consuming because they're sending an email, they're putting in an Excel spreadsheet. Sometimes they forget people. Then we got to create that new roster inside of our database, and then we have to create the invoice that might go over to accounting. Accounting sends the invoice. Then they want to make changes again. It is tough. It is not an easy thing to manage group memberships on with our company members, right? And so we are showing an example of what that might look like when you have a self-service portal inside of Element. So Diego, as the administrator, is logging in, and he is acting on behalf of ABC Company. Now, he's an administrator for ABC Company, but he's also the administrator for Acme Brothers, and he's also a part of a DC chapter. And so these are actually different sites. But when I'm in this administrative community, I'm acting on behalf of ABC Inc. and only ABC Inc. So nothing's happening for me directly as Diego. So as a part of the group membership, what we want to do is we want to ask Diego to update ABC Company's roster. And here it is. This is what we have. Basically, what we're doing is we're saying, hey, at our association, this is everybody that we have that's at your organization. Can you do me a favor and make sure that that's right? Diego looks at it, says, yeah, no, I mean, this isn't right. I want to make some updates. And he has the ability to add new members. Again, this is a form that you get to define the values that go in there. He can edit the members that are in there, remove members. I always get the question after I say that, oh, what happens when you remove? Does that actually delete it from the database? It does not. You get to define what happens. And in our demos, we just mark it for removal, which triggers, a marketing campaign, or what do we want to do with the database? How do we want to make sure that we're keeping that relationship with those individuals, even though the administrators have removed them from their roster? Additionally, if I want to edit en masse, I can update, values specifically. I can remove en masse if I wanted to. But if I had, 200 people, that is not going to suffice. So we also have the ability to upload a file. So what I'm going to do is upload my 2026 roster in here. And once that roster has been uploaded, I can see at a high level, I had the starting count and my end roster count is 15, which is correct. But what happened? We had 2 additions. And if I click on that, I can filter down and see those 2 additions. Shristi's in there. Isabel's in there. That's right. Where are my edits? Here we are. Sammy, Jordan, Johnny. They all look good. Yes, they all had new roles. They've moved up in the world. And then I've got my renewal. Crystal Christensen won the lottery and unfortunately is no longer working with us at the organization. So now that I'm happy that the roster is up to date, what I want to do is make sure that I'm assigning the membership to all of the people. So I'm going to select which membership I want to assign based on who they are. So your culinary staff. I'm going to go ahead and give you the professional. And, it'd be a lot easier if I just filtered it down. Let me get all my executives. Oops, I can't spell executives. And I want to bulk assign that membership to every one of those executives and go ahead and give them the executive membership. When I click save, it goes ahead and assigns that executive membership to them. And you can see that we're getting a summary over here on the right-hand side as we're going through that. And I can easily see who's been assigned and deselect that, and then show only those that have been unassigned. So maybe everybody else who has been unassigned, I want to go ahead and give them that professional membership. Oops, select all and save. And here we go. We've got a whole list of memberships and everybody is accounted for. Great. Let's move on to next. And what that's going to do is create the invoice for us. And here we are, a summary of all the different products that were purchased, including a group membership that kind of parents everything. And this is what controls the membership for us as the organization. For Diego, lets us know when to renew everybody when they're up for renewal. So I'm going to go ahead and check out. And now I've got 3 minutes left. I can pay with a payment method, or I can also submit for a purchase order. You notice that was not available to me as Diego and in the individual portal, but it might be for your organization. So you might offer that purchase order option because they have to go through the processes of getting that money. So we'll go ahead and just make that payment here. Process the payment. And now I've got a payment confirmation. So a very easy self-service portal for our administrators. And when I get back, once that membership gets inserted, and it might take a minute to insert, there it is. I can see the membership and all the individual people inside there. Now, I often get this question, well, what happens when I have to do it midterm? I need to add somebody midterm. You can add a new member and it literally will allow you to present a form to add the product. I can select a new contact that I might want to add to that individual membership. And then I can purchase that membership. It'll take me over to checkout. What happens if I have assigned seats and I've already paid for it, but somebody left midterm? What do I do there? Well, you have the ability to transfer that membership. So Amy might no longer be here. I might want to find Sean, click next. And now you can see that Amy's been transferred. Now Sean is my new active member. And so there's a lot you can do here with your group membership functionality. So we're really trying to make that self-service portal very easy for the associations that are interacting with organizational memberships. And just to wrap it up, I'm going to come back to the ABC company and show what that looks like for us and staff. So here's my ABC Inc. I can see their company membership here. I know who purchased it. It was definitely Diego. There's that group membership. I can see the start date and the end date with their grace. And if I look at the related information, it shows all the memberships in the membership groups with the appropriate memberships that were purchased, right? And I can also see who's been transferred. So obviously there was no invoice that was associated to that. And here I can also do things like transferring the memberships and things like that. So here I can add a new member, I can renew, I can transfer individuals. All that happens here as well. Further, let's be honest. So we have some administrators that might never log into the portal. We know that. They still want to send us a spreadsheet. They're not budging. No matter what we do, we still have to kind of help them out. So Diego says, hey, that was great. I loved it. I want to do it every time, but I am no longer in charge of it. Now you've got Sean who's going to be in charge of it. And he's just, all he wants to do is send a spreadsheet. That's fine. Send us the spreadsheet, Sean. We can do that as well in the staff view, in the exact same experience that happened for those administrators we have here in the staff view. So I can upload that spreadsheet directly in here. I can see everything in context of the member. And then when I go to the next page, if we're renewing, it'll automatically assume that they've already been renewed or that they're going to be renewed. And then it's just a matter of deselecting the ones that are not going to be a part of that membership. And, it's moving down. And then finally, it'll take you over to the staff perspective of the invoice. So that way I can send that invoice directly to Diego or the financial administrator that's now tackling it. And that I'm going to wrap up. And I'm sorry, I wanted to do that way faster, but I wanted to have questions there for you. So sorry it took so long, but thank you so much for your time. Please reach out to us. We'd be happy to talk.
No, I think you did it with perfect timing there, Chris. And it looks like between Sean and Vishal, they got through all of the questions here in the chat. But if you do have any other questions for the Element AMS team, these guys here, don't be afraid to connect with them using the business cards back in the lobby or the poll that's going to pop up in a second. I know they'd be happy to go through any of it with you. So thanks so much for being here today, guys, and I will see the rest of you at our next demo in 15 minutes.
Thanks, everyone.